Hey folks, Serve here, and I think, therefore, I Muse. So, sit back, relax, stay a while and listen, and don't mind me while I natter around a little bit about another talk topic this time around. So, VTubers. Yes, I've made this very clear many times, I am a VTuber fan. So, let's try to start from the top and see if I can articulate, based off my little talking prompts I kind of wanted to go on about this topic. So, how long have I been watching them? Let's see, that would be since the Kizuna Ai era, I believe. That far back, then got into HoloLive, and everything just kind of went downhill into the rabbit hole from there. And I've been enjoying and watching VTubers ever since then. So, in the event you wonder what I'm watching half the time in between some of my busier days, yeah, you might find me in somebody's chat somewhere, more often than not. As far as who I currently watch in this day and age, well, you know two of them by now from clip compilation videos, but while I used to watch some big VTubers here and there, a lot of the ones I watch tend to be smaller, indie types. Mostly because I tend to find a lot of these smaller indie type VTubers to be very cozy, to just kind of chill around and hang out with, as far as just watching their stuff. So, I can think of maybe about, let's see, 4, 5 off the top of my head that I semi-watch frequently, outside of Random, of course, because anytime he streams, of course, I'll be likely around if I'm not busy or sleeping. I'm almost always in his chat somewhere. And more often than not, depending on the VTuber, I'll most likely be around if it's a game I'm interested in seeing them play through, or in Randon's case, it's whatever the hell he's doing. I'm more than likely to be around when he's playing something or chatting, whichever. But in most cases, I always like to watch VTubers go through video games rather than talking content more often than not. So, there is that. You at least have a kind of a gist of where I stand as far as being a VTuber fan. I'm not a big one to the point to where... Okay, look, I'm a big VTuber fan in the sense that that's kind of what I watch primarily. I'm not big in the sense that I'm just sitting in everybody's chat and sending donos. I'm not that kind of fan. I'm sorry. I'm a small fan. I'm a small fan that likes to keep mostly quiet, for the most part. It's nice to be able to watch or just have them out in the... have their stream or VOD out in the background and just kind of sit and enjoy while I'm working on other things, or playing something else. One or the other. So that leads me to the Randoneering compilation that I did a little while ago. I enjoyed that project, honestly. When I first did the VTuber comedy compilation videos, starting with that one for Crimson Ruse, it was an idea I had in the back of my head. I didn't know I wanted to mess around with VTuber clipping just for the sake of helping me with, well, giving me more editing practice just for the fun of it. But I didn't want to do it the traditional way. So that first video I did with Crimson Ruse was more of a pilot test for just the idea of how I wanted to present VTuber clips. And then the one I did afterwards with Randoneering was, well, proof in the pudding, pretty much. And I'm not gonna lie, I quite like this method. Sure, I could probably go for an easier method and just get the clips, learn to put captions in, but I think that's it's not my style. No, what is the word? No shade to the people who do it in a more traditional style, but it's just not for me. If I do any VTuber clipping stuff, it's because I want some extra editing practice just to make myself do it. But also I want to show people, well, VTubers that I like to watch. So if you happen to see any more on my channel, that's why. That's the whole reason why I put them on my channel at all. Otherwise I would have made a separate clipping channel to do that sort of stuff. Who knows, maybe I would one day in the future, but really this is just a channel where I just do things on my own and just not care. I do what's the word I'm looking for? My old man mind is starting to catch up with me. I just go with the flow with the way I do things for my channel. Now, as far as the process of doing, in self-reflection, that particular VTuber clip project with Randon's video, that one took a little bit longer than I would have liked it to, honestly. Originally, it was supposed to be compressed down to about 5 to 10 minutes, like the last video. And, you know, as it stands, as you may have already picked up by now, the whole goal of me doing any of these VTuber compilation comedy videos on this channel, the whole point is to not only make comedy of the clips that I show of said VTuber, but it's also to just give you a bit of an outline of, hey, this is a VTuber I like to watch, this is what makes them stand out to me, and why I kinda like them, and that's about it. While also trying to be comedic on the side as well. Not just for the sake of the funny and interesting clips that I pick out of them, but also just for how I write down and film the narrative, or the way I do things with the satisfactory footage as well. I hope that's a little bit interesting, because I realize it is a bit amateurish with the way I do it, but honestly, I quite like it. It's fun. I might see what else I can do with that in the future. I won't lie to you, I've thought to do the same thing using Warframe scenes, but I don't know how I do that yet. And even then, you'd probably see me trying to use a voice bot to have some voice connected to my Dante Warframe. That's what I thought about doing. No promises that I'd be doing that yet, but it's an idea that's boiling in the back of my head. How would I make that comedic, just in the same way with the Satisfactory and Ada going back and forth with me kind of deal? Let me know what you think about that if you happen to have an opinion, because I kind of like the idea of having some kind of back and forth comedy skit with my Dante Warframe while trying to present clips in a more futuristic setting than that. I think it would be funny. But then again, I have plenty of dumb ideas. Half of them are not even used, or even less than that. But as far as the... I digress. As far as the whole process went for that random clip compilation, the easier part was doing the scripting, the voices for Ada. The hardest part for me was trying to get my own voice lines done. And that's because of life reasons. Sometimes I'm busy, other days I don't feel my voice is back completely, so there are a lot of times where I feel like I want to deliver this line in a certain way. Yes, I know I'm mostly monotone more than half the time, but I wanted to at least try to do something a little bit different. Especially since that compilation clip was also kind of folded into a, okay, you know what, it's the old orc's birthday. Let's at least try to put some extra effort in there so it feels a little bit more personal from the fan to the VTuber and whoever else wants to enjoy watching it. So, look, that's the only time you're gonna see me being personal. Maybe. I'm just gonna say it. As far as VTuber clips goes, that's the only time you're gonna see me sounding personal. Maybe. We'll put a pin on that for the future and see if I... We'll see if I, end up making a fool of myself and lying. But that would have been the bigger part of my challenges doing that particular project. As far as the editing went, that was honestly very, very easy for me. Yes, it's a very, very easy set of editing and how I edit, but that honestly wasn't the hardest part for me. Honestly, from here on, I feel like with every single consecutive VTuber clip project that I want to do for the fun of it, I kind of want to try to teach myself to do something different for editing with each project. So, for example, maybe with the next one I should actually start putting in subtitles or something. Yes, it would take a bit of extra effort, but I think it would be fine. And also, I'm sure if I were to actually put subtitles on those clips that get presented onto a game screen somewhere, at least people won't have to run back on the video and listen very, very carefully to what the person's trying to say, assuming I did my audio balance between the music and my talking correctly. Last video, I apparently very much neglected that, and when I look back at it in hindsight after some feedback, I'm like, oh shit, you guys are right. Oops. I should have toned down the background music volume a fair bit, because it is a little bit overpowering on a lot of clips. So, I chalk that up under, well, lesson learned for the future, yeah? One thing at a time. But at least that's currently what I'm thinking, and you know, I kind of self-reflected from that particular project and going forward. I won't lie though, once that project was done, I just felt relief. Lots and lots of relief, because I didn't want to drag it on for too long. Like, I didn't want it to be freaking April or June when his birthday was in February. And I'm like, damn, I really shouldn't take too long on this one, at least not on this one. So I kind of had to give myself a bit of a deadline and work through it. Honestly, I'm glad I powered through it, because, again, every little bit of experience kind of teaches me something new as I try to get myself to try something new with each editing project. Now, will I do more VTuber comedy clips in the future? Oh yes, absolutely. I definitely want to. Although, I may have said this before in one of my previous videos as well, I've already done clips for 2 male VTubers. So to kind of switch it up, I want to actually do clips of 2 female VTubers to kind of change up the pace a little bit. You know, balance and everything and all that other jazz. But that's going to take a fair bit more planning, if you ask me. Now, it's not so much that I'm not convinced or confident that I could pull it off. I'm sure I can pull it off in a very basic way, the same way I have been. Maybe learn a little bit in between. But there's a couple of other things about doing a comedy compilation clip for a female VTuber that's got me a little bit on the back foot and thinking a little extra about. Namely, when we make jokes about the male VTubers, cool, fine and dandy. I know, like, those particular ones, we dudes behave very differently when it comes to things like this. Sure, some ladies like the comedic jabs and whatnot here and there, but I want to at least be a little bit extra thoughtful when I try to do a VTuber comedy compilation for a female VTuber as well. Because I'm not quite sure how they and their fandoms will react. Sure, the ones I like to watch are very chill, so it's perfectly fine, I think. But I want to be at least a little extra thoughtful while I'm also highlighting parts about this VTuber that make them who they are. Things that I find interesting. Things you might find interesting. And that sort of thing. While also trying to script a narrative of just comedy back and forth between me and Ada, or however I decide to pull that off. And that's pretty much where I'm stuck on for the time being, anyway. Because I'm trying to pick between a small handful, at least, well, I'm back and forth between 2 different ones. And I'm just trying to be as thoughtful as I can with, okay, well, is this fine for me to pull together? Am I confident I can pull together a set of clips and, you know, do the whole project from start to finish? And will I be certain that I'll be able to do it in such a way where, well, obviously there will be people who will like it and people who won't like it. That's perfectly fine. It's the internet. It's that vast. But I want it to at least be a little bit interesting to watch, or at least you guys, people who watch my stuff. Yes, I know, more often than not, with a lot of these compilation videos, forgive me, I'm gonna sound like a nerd. More often than not. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm already a nerd. Is there really anything any different? Moving on. So, at least that's the thing that's kind of got me on pause right now, as I figure out what I want to do for the next VTuber compilation project. I have an idea who I want to clip for. I'm just sitting on my back foot for now until I'm absolutely certain. I have an idea how I want that video script to flow. Let me think. If I may be honest too, perhaps I'm being a little bit too... what's the word I'm looking for? Perhaps I'm overthinking it a little bit too hard. A lot of the VTubers that I like to watch, both male and female, tend to be the more relaxed type or very, very silly. So I don't particularly foresee any real problems of... what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't particularly see any issues as far as other fans nagging me as a result of it. That's not really a thing anyways, most people just kind of want to enjoy and watch things. You know how the internet goes. So perhaps I'm just overthinking things and should really just move along and get another project chosen and scripted. You may also wonder, Would you ever consider doing comedy clip compilations for any of your favorites from bigger VTuber companies? Maybe? Look, I make no promises on that. Yes, there are a few talents from HoloLive I like to watch, both from HoloLive and from HoloStars, on both branches, EN and JP, but I don't particularly think I'm quite as intricately connected and tuned in to fandoms and jokes for any of those talents that I do like to watch to really do it justice. So if you wonder why I'm always on the back foot with, if I'm ever, in the future especially, on the back foot of doing compilation clips for any particular VTuber, that's most likely the main reason too, especially. Because I'm just trying to be thoughtful about the whole, am I going to be able to land the jokes and the in-jokes from the fandom and the VTuber just right? Or at least enough to where it makes sense. Now, for people like Ruse and Randon, easy. Guys are very simple with the way we like to joke around with each other. And you know, the worst that happens with a lot of dudes is we just jab back at each other when one makes a wise-ass remark. So, you know, joking between dudes is easy. Joking with ladies, on the other hand, different story. You have to handle these things with not necessarily kid gloves, in my opinion, but a bit more thoughtfulness and make sure you're on point and not... what's the word I'm looking for? Derailing yourself too hard, basically. So at least for whoever I choose to be the first female VTuber I do a comedy clip for, I want to be sure at least I stay on track. The jokes make sense, the presentation makes sense, the information makes sense. That's just going to be my main goal. Now, whatever else I happen to learn for editing on that, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. So, that would be that as far as those particular compilations goes. Hopefully, I'll figure out something within the next few weeks or a few months. With a lot of these VTuber compilation projects, I like to just think about it for a good month or two. And then when the mood hits me, and I decide, okay, here's how I'll script it, this is what I need to look for, and then we'll go from there. Although, I think you probably, for those of you who may or may not already do clipping, or at least some kind of content creation stuff, you probably already know the longest part for that is probably going to be gathering the necessary clips for the videos in general. Although I'm not gonna lie, I feel like for a lot of these upcoming VTubers that I watch that I want to clip, I should at least try to make sure I double check if they have any clipping policies that they want me to be aware of. Because more often than not, most people tend to be very chill about it for the most part. But you know, it never hurts to at least double check in the event that the VTuber happens to be the type that goes, please don't clip me. And then, if I read that, cool, nothing more to say there, we're good. I understand. But these are just the kinds of motions and extra pains I try to take before I start any one of these projects. There's definitely no terrible... what's the word I'm looking for? It'd be terrible for me to work on all of this just to find out that my jokes not only landed terribly outside of my own fandom, as far as just people who like to watch my stuff, but the VTuber themselves end up not liking it if they happen to run into it somehow and decide, could you take that down? Honestly, if that ever happens, sure, no problem. Not a big deal to me. After all, a lot of these projects that I do on this channel are for fun, after all, so it wouldn't bother me one bit. Still, better to avoid having to have that happen at all, you know what I mean? Now, onto a slightly more relaxed segue topic for this particular video. Let's see. You know, two particular VTubers I like to watch. I would really love to talk... Darn. You know, I just realized now. I would really like to talk a little bit about other VTubers that I currently watch, but there is a non-zero chance that might actually end up doing VTuber compilations of them, comedy compilations of them, at some point or another. So I might have to just forego this particular topic for this video, or this particular specified subtopic. For now. I don't want to spoil it. Granted, I probably won't need to do much to spoil it, because if you happen to be a VTuber watcher yourself, you may or may not catch me in different VTubers' chats, just for the hell of it. So you might be able to just spot me and go, hey, there he is. There's that freaking nerd. So there is that. You know? I think that will have to be it for this particular video on the topics. I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to talk about for the most part. At least specific topics for this particular video. I mainly wanted to reflect a little bit about my current editing projects that are VTuber related. Will I do more VTuber related projects in the future? Well, now that I think about it, outside of clip compilations, I don't outright think so. There are a myriad of other people who are out there in the internet space that like to talk about things like news, recent things that happen, that sort of thing, but I don't particularly like to do that myself. I'd rather not get caught up in that sort of thing. I'm just a casual fan, and I like to keep it that way. You know what I mean? I always like to joke around with some of my own personal friends, I'm a nomadic fan. And then, more often than not, they end up saying, what the hell's a nomadic fan? Are you high off your ass? No, not necessarily. It just means that I am a fan of VTubers. I don't call one particular fandom my home, so to speak. You know, one that I stick around more often than not, permanently. I just jump around, hang out, see how people are doing across different fandoms, and that's what I enjoy anyway. I don't stick to just one particular place. So at least that's what I mean when I say I'm a nomadic VTuber fan. I don't stick around, I just wander around and just casually observe people on my free time. But that being said, thanks for taking a little bit of time to sit down and listen. Hopefully this hasn't been too much of an ear chewing for you guys. And I hope I didn't loop around too much on my topics too much. But if there happens to be any other topics in the future that you guys want me to cover, do let me know down in the comments. If it happens to be something I feel like I can talk about, sure, I'll add that to the docket if I think it's perfectly fine. Otherwise, you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time whenever I choose to post next. Ugh. Goodness. Not used to having to talk for such extended times. You have a good day. See ya.